Technically, it still applies with Donald Trump. Bryson. Yeah, I'll allow you to TikTok if they allow you to, because that's actually a better place. Yeah, because most people just record their fucking TVs. It's weird. Like, I probably could go live on TikTok. I'm telling you, if I just look better, I'll be good. I have to make TikTok and shit. I can dance if I really want. Just all these other dances I'm too late to. But like a new dance, I'll learn with the others. Next thing you know, I'm gonna be on. Got the drip, got the aesthetics. That's nothing on TikTok I noticed. Especially in the game community, if you want clout, you gotta do it. Like those people that do that shit, I want to be that. They literally just look at the camera and just because they have good aesthetics, they get views. Even I'm guilty. If I ain't gonna lie, I mainly read the caption, but like, you can't tell me looking at the like aesthetics doesn't help too. Ooh, look at that. Don't worry about it. What are we saying? Oh, I didn't know he was a brute. Fuck out of here with that shit. Pussy ass nigga. He was so dead. Bro, I can't see. Ow, boy. Pussy. Oh. Going. Next time. That makes sense, bro. I believe it. That's like when you fucking lose an argument, or you win it, or whatever, and it ends you. I told you. See, it's so obvious you want me to. So just fucking say it already. I'm not gonna initiate everything. If you're gonna show it, show it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, where are these notifications from? Like, if you're not, don't. I mean, oh yeah, mod. Fuck.
You're a lot shorter than I imagined. Nice job exposing Roxxon and all that. Yeah, I wish you gave me the heads up to sell their stock first. Wonder if you'll get an action figure too. I asked for one thing for Christmas and I didn't get it. Every nut job will lie, Santa. Spider-Man! You get a break for the holiday? Do you diet or is this natural?
What are you talking about?
I gotta get home and feed my cat. See ya.
What is he talking about, bro? No, he was just legit. Shit. It's just insane. She said, no.
Hey, Spidey, will you follow me on social media?
That's random request.
I'll be sure to send you a message on your app if I see any other underground.
Okay, girl, thank you.
Take it easy, Spider-Man.
Look at my leg. Look at my leg.
Another year without a boyfriend. Whoa, light, Dad. Move left.
Oh, you know what? I'm about to beat y'all bitches up, bro. Give me my controller.
Oh, my Spider-Man,
Oh, look at my
man? Okay, that's confusing.
There's kind of She got a point, bro. I love how this game has so much dialogue.
Gotta run.
I mean, I don't know if the first one was like that. I would, but not sure. Then take a picture. Staying still. I'll pose for you.
Someone reported a mugging at a donation stand.
Don't care. Only in a film thing. Like, why not? And when I do get a follow-up, family. Look how many there are. Definitely doing a zip chain. Bitch! Look at that! You're fucked! Easy. It's so easy to kill them. Bitch! Oh my god. Nope, y'all niggas need to sit down. Oh, I'm just gonna die. Bitch. Bam, boy.
Spider-Man 1, Robbers 0.
Oh, they don't tell you, bro. I forgot. Well, I think I already got it. I got like every trophy possible, actually. Fuck, so what am I doing, bro? So I'm just chilling here.
He said J. Miles. And the way I'm playing the game. He's
Fuck, that's what I was supposed to say. Please don't know that shit. I knew they would do that eventually. I thought about that the other day. I was like, they make paralyzed people stand up. Cause Chastity. Yeah, I'm curious now. I don't think I have it. Chastity.
Nice. Motorcycle bust nuts. Nice.
3 fucking hundred, bro. See, that's how all she talks about, bro. Shit, I never thought of that. A Blispanic girl? Probably would be perfect. Ouch! My beard. Shit hurts. Alright, I feel like this bitch ain't on, bro. It's starting to piss me off. How do you know? They're trying too hard to do it. Yes, fucking love it. It's weird. What was?
Just between us, cleaning with a mopping bucket is such a hassle. Ugh. Well, I switched to Swiffer Wet Jet, and it's awesome. It's an all-in-one that absorbs dirt and grime deep inside, and it helps prevent streaks and haze. Stop cleaning, start Swiffering. Film a Joss Whedon film, a James Gunn film. Hell, you even know when you're watching a shitty high-top film. To me, a Russo brothers film, now I've only seen their Marvel projects, so have that in mind, feel visually raw compared to the other films in the MCU. The Russos love handheld. They love handheld mediums and close-ups. They love impactful shaky cam action sequences. They love those things and they're damn good at them. They are also insanely great at balancing a large number of characters and making them all, for the most part, feel real and human. That deserves a ton of praise and recognition. There's no denying that. But
I forget she's 14 sometimes, bro. That's how I make sure she's lost if she's. Damn, that feel good, bro. It was cold. It was good. That's spice.
But I'm just gonna say it. This isn't to discredit all the hard work each and every single one of the crew members and VFX teams put into the film, but I personally find Avengers Endgame very ugly. Now there are some stunning shots, a lot of them being completely CG. But I will say that with cinematographer Trent Opalock managed very ugly. Now there are some stunning shots, a lot of them being completely CG. But I will say that what cinematographer Trent Opalock manages to do with the lighting and compositions, given the fact that an absurdly large portion of the movie is shot in a green screen studio, is very impressive. That being said, most of the shots in Endgame look fake to me. The backgrounds, the locations look and feel like a studio space filled with green screens, and now I expect that from the space shots, from the planet shots, from the locations and scenes you couldn't possibly pull off practically. But can you honestly justify why you the Avengers base looks like this? Remember when Joss Whedon had that super snazzy Avengers tower set filled with color, personal props, personality? Why on God's gray earth is the Avengers base a gray office building or a gray warehouse or a green screen background made to look like a bland gray warehouse? VFX made Thanos possible. The visual effects combined with the motion capture performance from Josh Brolin is breathtaking. They had the possibility to create any background they want, literally, and this is what they settled on. Little things like having a base that feels like a home instead of a warehouse makes a moment like this hit harder. Want to see something you won't be able to unsee? Most times, Marvel uses a green screen instead of a practical location, which is a lot. They do this. They shoot this flat image of the actors in front of a green screen. They add in some bland background, and they blur that background to give the illusion of a shallow depth of field. The illusion that they have a tight focus on the actors. So many shots are done like this. Now, this most likely happens because these movies are rushed. They have to come out once a year, sometimes twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, and now apparently 4 times a year, and they usually use the same VFX teams. I can't imagine the pure pressure, the stress, and the workload these artists have to deal with. That's probably the reason why Iron Man's armor looked like this in 2008, but looks like this now. Marvel doesn't have the time to pull off insane practical deal with. That's probably the reason now apparently deal with. That's probably the reason why Iron Man's armor looked like this in 2008, but looks like this now. Marvel doesn't have the time to pull off insane practical effects or design and create all real costumes. They most likely have the VFX teams do all that and more while they're shooting. Now, some of you may not care about this, and that's perfectly fine. If the story, the characters, and the direction of the actors is enough for you to ignore the mostly bland visual style of the film, that's also fine. But be honest with me. Does this look good to you? Does this look visually compelling to you? I think it's absolutely insane that Endgame is the 3rd most expensive film of all time, and it looks like this. I think it's absolutely ludicrous that this is the 22nd film in the MCU, but all of the Phase 1 films have a stronger visual style. It's theoretically one of the biggest movies in scale, but everything feels small to me. Like an episode of a sitcom, all filmed in a studio. Nothing feels grand or gigantic. Armies running at each other leave me numb. Seeing pretty much every MCU character come together in a comic book splash page doesn't feel nearly as iconic as the Avengers coming together for the first time. And I don't want to bring up the color grading issue, but come on.
You didn't say that earlier. If you did, that's crazy. So everyone has that shit.
Why I'm scared. This is my biggest fear for the MCU. They have come so far critically, financially, but they are all but regressing in terms of the actual filmmaking. Far From Home, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp all feel like they could be directed by the same person. And yeah, that makes for a consistent looking and feeling cinematic universe, but it also makes for a lack of variety, a lack of clear vision from an individual artist. And that's what film should be to me, the clear vision of an artist collaborating with thousands of other artists to make something profound, personal, and unique. You see directors like Scorsese or Coppola talking about how these movies aren't cinema. And while I mostly disagree, there is a point to be made. Taxi Driver cost $1.3 million and changed cinema forever. Avengers Endgame is an enjoyable experience, but doesn't challenge and barely utilizes the visual medium of film. Little visual storytelling, little to no impressive shots, dynamic lighting, purposeful blocking. That's not where Marvel's focus is. You could make 273.8 Taxi Drivers for the cost of one Avengers Endgame. 273. That's 273 independent films that do something new. Is it really surprising that some of the filmmaking greats would be resentful of the MCU? So what's next? 100 MCU Disney Plus shows, a lot of craziness in Phase 4? Am I excited for any of it, or am I going to remain a cynical prick? I can't tell you. If we keep getting movies that make no effort to push the medium forward, if we keep getting movies that feel like they are rushed together in a boardroom and pushed out yearly, then no, I'm not excited. I'm actually depressed. But maybe, hopefully, God please, is if we start getting MCU movies and shows that feel risky, that feel unique, that feel like the vision of an artist. If we get a Doctor Strange horror movie that has more in common with Sinister than it does with Captain Marvel, if we get a Blade movie with one of the most talented actors working today that isn't afraid to be violent and raw, if we get a Black Widow movie that dives deep into the character of Natasha, if we get films that aren't afraid to be different, then hell yeah, I'm excited. Half the magic of the first Avengers film is watching Joss Whedon seamlessly blend the punk improv nature of Jon Favreau's Iron Man films, the Shakespearean nature of Kenneth Branagh's Thor, the charm and sincerity of Joe Johnston's Captain America together, and also inject his own style into the film and these characters. But when a lot of these films are starting to look and feel similar, when all the action scenes start to look the same,
What the
when all
fuck?
the seems to be moving towards quips and universe connections rather than cinematography.
God, way too fast.
That magic of sitting.
You piece of shit.
In the theater, watching these icons grow, change, persevere, inspire.
Got your big
That
ass.
magic starts
Fuck.
to fade. And
Fuck.
believe it or not, I don't want to.
Please fucking do that. Look at this shit! Die way too fast.
Empezaste a estudiar con una
Fucking dead.
técnica
You're
low-fi,
dead.
pero ahora necesitas
Who's
esforzarte.
going?
Apaga
This
la
guy's
pantalla
like,
de
give me
tu
that
screen
shit.
y sigue disfrutando la música.
Who's
Tenemos una
going?
prueba
What
de
are they
Instant
doing?
Premium. Meet rising inflation with Kohl's friends and family sale. Take
Dumbass
20% off online or 25%
I'm
off
not
everywhere.
doing
On top
that.
of party screens, meals on women's shorts, outdoor furniture, and women's sweatshirts. Plus, Kohl's will work with $20 off, and everyone earns Kohl's cash. Kohl's.
They clearly don't have a problem. I don't say it. Shit! Okay, that killed me. Look at that!
Might be the most incredible.
Look at it, bro.
And can I say one thing?
One chick did that.
This
Okay,
might be
fuck
the most
you.
incredible day of my life, and I've always wanted to be at Comic-Con in Hall H as Spider-Man. So thanks for having me.
After Spider-Man 3, we talked to Sony about doing a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey.
I was originally hired to write Spider-Man 4 and was really sort of excited to come in and do that because no one had sort of finished out a superhero franchise before, sort of on purpose.
Sam and Toby and us were starting to question the validity of the next one.
I think, that ultimately there was a feeling that it was time to reinvent. People say, oh, why would you do it again? But the comic book reinvented itself many, many times. There are many iterations of Peter Parker.
The shoes that had to be filled were enormous. So that said, we did what we do in studios, and we thought about who our favorite filmmakers were. I never thought I would do a comic book movie, but I think when I was older, it actually became more appealing to me. You start to understand there's some really universal themes that are at work in a lot of these things too, and I think I started to appreciate the sophistication of the Spider-Man story in particular.
I didn't think I had a hope in hell of being cast, like genuinely. So when I first heard about it, I thought, I hope they do a good job. That was my real thought. Because I loved the first 3 films. I had trepidation about the idea of me stepping into the responsibility of it, and I didn't want to ruin the fantasy of it. I didn't want to take him down from the pedestal that I'd put him on, talking about the fictional character Spider-Man.
And you feel an obligation to the audience to make something more
bitch!
Spider-Man mantle. And that's hard. Such is life.
Put the weapons down, bitch.
Hey,
Yeah.
everyone's staying safe, so I know what you're thinking. Did you already make a video on this movie? Did you not say that after Raimi Part 3 you were done with the Spider-Man videos? Yes, I did. But as I've said before, I'm a fucking liar. Plus, that first video was mainly about this very uncreated, rich scene. But that video was also in no way a deep dive, a Raimi-style deep dive. the Amazing Spider-Man franchise for sure deserves. These movies not only have extensive, insane, and whack behind-the-scenes footage, interviews, and deleted scenes, but they also are these weird movie show treats. They had an extraordinarily tough act to follow, they lost, and then they gave up and let the young kid play ball with the mouse. But that doesn't mean they should be entirely disregarded, shunned, hated, spat on, thrown down the clock tower with Gwen broken like her spine, and tossed out along with Andrew Garfield's employment at Sony. The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and even The Amazing Spider-Man 2 have some very special, unique, and genuinely thoughtful and heartfelt things going for them that don't get discussed nearly enough. So let's begin.
Ready or not, here I come.
That's a pretty meta line, right? That pretty aptly sums up the challenges Sony had when making this movie. Spider-Man 3 came out in 2007 and was the highest grossing Spider-Man flick and one of the highest grossing movies of all time. 5 years later, bang, it's 2012. The freaking Avengers just came out on May 4th and changed the superhero movie landscape. The Dark Knight Rises, the sequel to The Dark Knight, comes out July 20th, and this Spider-Man movie that nobody really wanted and nobody saw coming this soon comes out July 3rd. I can't imagine the stress Mark Webb was under, so I love doing this. Let's pretend you're Mark Webb. After directing music videos for a while, you make your first feature film, 500 Days of Summer, a small-scale, small-budget film about falling in love and the idealization that goes hand in hand with that love. It's smart, it's full of heart, but the key thing here is that it's vulnerable, human, real, honest. It connects with young, angsty, quirky fucks like myself and my buddy, the Lone Chemist. Check out our video on it coming soon, it's on his channel. And instantly became a classic romantic comedy that subverts the expectation that comes along with being a classic romantic comedy. It cost $7.5 million to make and made $60.7 million. Damn, that's great news. Now you can do your second film, maybe another personal and human indie drama. Enter they come to you and you're like, what? They say they want you to reboot Spider-Man 5 years after the first and mega successful, mega iconic franchise ended. You're like, why? They say they loved your first movie. It was vulnerable, human, real, honest, and appealed to young people. They claim they want this new Spider-Man to be vulnerable, human, real, honest, and appeal to young people. Oh, and be kind of gritty like The Dark Knight. Audiences love that shit. You say yes. You receive a budget of $230 million US. That is $223 million US more than your last film's, your first film's budget. That's insane. Think about making that jump. Think about how much of a shit show that could have been. But lucky for us, Mark Webb is an extremely talented director who had the balls to take on this massive undertaking. Critics didn't adore Spider-Man 3, but the world shilled for Spider-Man 1 and 2. To a lot of people, Tobey Maguire is Spider-Man. So, what do? Well, on the surface level, you do the opposite. But now, it's a meme how much I adore the original trilogy. To me, the Sam Raimi films are almost perfect adaptations of those early Lee Ditko, Lee Romita comics. They are passion-filled, ridiculous but sincere, over-the-top superhero dramas with a lot of heart, a lot of super stylized action, and a tangible love of this iconic character. Nobody could do what Raimi did better than he did it. So The Amazing Spider-Man tries to set itself apart from those movies in every way it can. In tone, this first movie isn't campy. It avoids camp. For better or worse, it tries to be realistic. This was a trend started by Nolan's grounded take on Batman. How realistic can you get when you have a giant lizard in a lab coat? Not very. Now, the idea of completely grounding fictional characters that can fly is absurd, but The Amazing Spider-Man tries and mostly succeeds at being emotionally realistic, emotionally believable. Why is this guy Spider-Man? Why is this guy going to become the Lizard? What deep-rooted issues and trauma cause these characters to end up where they do? Let's put these fantastical characters in a real world and play it completely straight. Unlike the Raimi films, the lighting isn't that dramatic. There's no extreme montages, no pizza time, no zany camera moves or personal visual flares. And that's not me saying The Amazing Spider-Man isn't well shot, because it is. Minus the desaturated, dim look that I so very, very much dislike. The framing and composition is on point, but it's not nearly as visually or personally stylized as the previous take on the webhead. But I think that's kind of the point. Look at 500 Days of Summer, or even the sequel to this movie. Both are filled with style, loaded with color, and over flowing with pop. If Webb wanted to bring that to his first Spider-Man flick, he could have. And frankly, I wish. But what Webb wanted to do was take these icons and put them in our world. Not the world of the comics, cartoons, or any kind of heightened reality. He wants us to believe that George Stacy could be our police captain. He wants us to believe that Oscorp could be the tallest building in our city. And he wants us to believe, really believe, that this awkward, punky kid with attitude could live down the block from us. A kid named...
Google Pixel 6a lasts up to 72 hours with...
Let me read you this line. Hey, how you doing? Listen, I thought the first Venom was a masterpiece. A messy, cliche, overridden flick that feels like it was locked up in Avi Arad's private stash of unreleased gems from 2003. A glowing gem with Edward Thomas Hardy having so much fun, chewing so much lobster, basking in the absurdity, the shallowness of the page. Well, what happened to the M&M? By the end of the joyous, jolly, jumble jambalaya, when it all culminated in a pair of giant space goo monsters twisting, contorting around each other with two vulnerable, youthful actors' heads floating in the center. I couldn't tell you what was gained, what was learned, who any of these characters were, nor why I should care. 'Twas truly an experience. A masterclass in studio soullessness, saved by a seemingly almost complete lack of self-awareness as to why any of this was working, and an extremely mesmerizing, dare I say, erotic performance between Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy. Last time I talked Venom, I took a few gambles of where the story should go. You start the film by having Eddie and Venom be sick of each other. Basically, the beginning of the film is the day-to-day life of Eddie and Venom. Think of it like roommates that are stuck with each other 24/7. You are a pariah! Last time I talked Venom, I wanted them to continue the franchise by aiming for the sky with the goof. Last time I talked about how the bromance, the romance between Eddie and Venom is what will keep this franchise going, keep it booming until Hardy has had enough. And Avi, buddy, I want my money. So I watched Venom Let There Be Carnage. So I fucking loved Venom Let There Be Carnage. But first, I've talked about Wondershare Filmora 10 a few times now. It's a great software for both beginning and experienced editing souls. So when I heard through the grapevine about Wondershare's mobile version and the sponsor of this video, Filmora Go, my pants got a little too wet, my anticipation a little too high, and Wondershare Filmora Go is a mobile video editing app that's easy and convenient to use. It's great for editing those hip and trendy vertical videos for platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or if you're just trying to make fun, vivid videos to share with the old fans. It's fantastic if you want to start video editing, get into it, become it, consume it, even if you don't have a hunk of junk computer. They got templates which make it easy as hell to create something of quality or something completely ridiculous like this. Boom. They got masking made easy. Bang. They got tantalizing transitions so you can do shit like this. The point is, Filmora Go got all the goodies. Stickers, filters, effects, hours of royalty-free music, and so much more. Boom, bang. So if you want to check it out, Filmora Go is free to try. Use my link in the description. And after you download it, why not try commenting what you think of the app using the hashtag #CreateWithFilmora. Filmora Go will choose a user from my comment section to win a 1-year license for free. And if you really dig it, if you really vibe it, why not leave them a review on the app or Play Store? So start editing, start creating, keep growing on the go with Wondershare Filmora Go. Thanks, guys. Real quick, there's this director of photography, this DP, this cinematographer, Robert Richardson. I am Robert Richardson. Now, you might not know the name, but you probably know the work. Platoon, Wall Street, The Doors, Bring Out the Dead, Kill, Volume 1, Kill, Welcome to Aviator, Glorious Bastard, Shutter Island, Hugo, Jane Horn, Chain 8, Only Once Upon a Time, Hollywood, just the name of it. Oh, and of course, most recently, Venom Let There Be Carnage. There's gonna be carnage. And you can tell you're watching the photography of a master. The first Venom was filled with gritty gunmetal gray handheld. This film is glowing, bright, neon, classical, often colorful, often expressive, using cranes, dolly, smooth movement, and motion. Visually, it's more intimate when it needs to be. Visually, it's grander when it has to be. So yeah, man, Robert Richards.
That's everybody. Time to drain the reactor.
Have you ever wanted to be noticed so badly you didn't even care what it was for? My name is Danny Sanders, and on April 10th,
Our terrorists attacked North Paris.
I almost died. Just kidding. Be careful, please.
Okay. Rated R.
Please don't tell me my TV rocks on armor.
And Let There Be Carnage is everything I wanted from a Venom sequel. It's everything I spent long nights dreaming about, talking to my id, my Venom about. If the first film was filled with expository faux science jargon, filled with the need to spend half the dialogue and too much of the runtime explaining and re-explaining the absurdity,
That the union between human and symbiote is the key to our survival.
this film hits fuck and just moves at the speed of a destined to derail train. How and why is Carnage born from ingesting Eddie and Venom's blood? What are the implications of that? Who gives a single fuck because
There's gonna be carnage.
if the first film spends so much time telling us that yes, Edward Brock is a down on his luck reporter.
I'm Eddie Brock, and this is the Brock Report.
This film pokes fun at just how bad of a reporter Eddie is, how self-involved Eddie is, how much of a disaster his life is, and the only person he can blame for all that is himself, his narcissism. I would never dare say that Eddie is a fully fleshed out, strongly written, expertly crafted character.
They're like nagging me about, I don't know, destroying my place or destroying my life.
But I would say that his lack of substance is, indeed, the joke.
That's it, you did it.
And if the first Venom did not get the joke, did not get why some of us adored it, Venom Let There Be Carnage fully fucking gets it. The franchise is no longer trying so hard to be slick and cool that it's sweet and dumb. It has now, with this film, just become truly sweet and dumb.
Pariah!
I mean, I never knew I needed Eddie and Venom discussing heartbreak, broing out over their favorite bowling alley. I never knew that I needed Venom to say that he is finally free from Eddie's closet, free to love who he loves, free to be himself. But now I know that's all I need, man. If the character of Venom is the anti-Spider-Man, then Venom Let There Be Carnage might just be the anti-modern cape flick. It doesn't really take influence from The Dark Knight. It doesn't take influence from the MCU. If anything, it takes inspiration tonally from the Schumacher Batman film. Here's a superhero movie that doesn't ever take itself seriously like at all, man. Here's a movie that doesn't interrupt its sincerity with a dose of trendy postmodern goof. Here's a movie that uses its goof, its camp, its schlock to be sincere. Director Andy Serkis knows what he's doing, and he's damn good at it. We are so numb to CG creatures punching each other in the face again and again and again. Fucking punch me in the face. But here, the CG knows what he's doing, and he's damn good at it. We are so numb to CG creatures punching each other in the face again and again and again. Fucking punch me in the face. But here, the CG creatures have weight, impact, punch. We're watching a man who has spent his masterful career understanding exactly how to elicit healing through computer-generated characters and creatures, direct two monstrosities who cannot control the collateral damage, the chaotic carnage they cause. The directing is creative, it's in touch, understanding what this is and who it's for. Never too indulgent, but always artistic. Villains cackle, they chew the scenery, they act in a way that is beyond human, that is so outside of tangible reality. They speak, they move, they dance, they emote, they eat people as if they are living in a comic book.
Enjoy the show.
Naomi Harris and Woody Harrelson are two immensely empathetic and raw performers. But that's not why they're here. They are here like Tom Hardy is, like Andy Serkis is, like we are. They are here just to have some fucking fun, man. Edited down to the bone, but seemingly not through studio force. Stupid as all hell, but not by accident. A purposeful slapstick superhero B-movie. And in a genre now defined by connected multiverses, there's more than enough room for that. If anything holds it back for me, man, other than a PG-13 rating, it's the fact that there must be carnage. There's gonna be carnage. There must be a threat to fight. There must be a third act battle. But even that plays like an artfully crafted, self-aware Spider-Man parody, fit with the dangling by a thread, a web, a tendril, blonde lover in distress. Just give me an hour and a half of Tom Hardy acting off himself. Give me an hour and a half of Venom roaming the streets of San Francisco trying to find himself. Give me these two lovebirds squabbling. That's the glue, or rather the alien goo, that binds it all together. I pitched my Venom 2 last time, and not to give myself too much credit, but I fucking nailed it. So here's a quick spoiler-filled pitch for Venom 3.
Water designs our life. Who designs for water?
Or rather, Venom No Way Home. So Venom and Eddie, they're stuck in the MCU now, and if you've watched my videos, you know that my major goal, my desire, would be to get them the fuck out of the MCU. So, in 86 words, Venom, Spider-Man, Hardy, Holland, interdimensional RB, traveling across the multiverse to get Eddie Brock back home. But instead of multiple Peter Parkers showing up, multiple Eddie Brocks. That's right, boys, we bring him back Topher. Trash Brock. Instead of multiple Spider-Men, multiple Venoms. Agent Venom, Matt Gargan Venom, Harry Osborn Venom, Hulk Venom, Thanos Venom, Anti-Venom, G-Venom. Make it a parody of the multiverse shit when it starts getting old, which by my estimation, with The Flash and No Way Home coming out pretty soon, won't be long. So at the end of the day, just like last time, I want more of these. I want more Venom. These are the superhero movies that should come out every 2 years. Keep them short, keep them fun, keep them romantic. With the Venom franchise, you know what you're getting. You know what you're paying for. And the more absurd they go, the happier I am. Are we witnessing high-class character work? No. Would it be a stretch to say these two movies lack any tangible character growth, any sense of structure, pace, or rhythm? No, it wouldn't even be a reach. That's not the point. You cannot treat this series like it's trying to be another Dark Knight, trying to be Iron Man, trying to be Spider-Man. You have to look at the title, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. You have to look at the film, which contains a carnage tornado, a carnado, a coming out party for Venom that ends in a mic drop, the spoken word, the written line delivered with such conviction of I'm a real boy and you're just an amoeba, and the glorious talent of Tom Hardy dealing with his roommates, his brother, his soul-sucking, lovable, symbiotic lover. And all that's left to do is have a chuckle, a laugh, as the credits roll, as the M&M hits. Hopefully, like me, all you're left with is a sincere smile.
Let's shut this place down. Genki, you ready to pop this door open once I power it up?
Ready and waiting.
This is a Tesseract, and that's pretty much all you'll ever know for sure.
Some of us are actually comic book fans, so we understood that this was the cosmic cube that Thanos was after in the books. What we didn't know is that the MCU would turn this into the damn space gym a little later, for no reason at all. Again, your Sid is wrong, bro.
Secret military research facility on brightly lit exposed mesa.
This implies that those they're keeping this a secret from would even be able to access this facility. You said it yourself, it's on a mesa. Mesas are notoriously difficult to reach due to how isolated they are. CinemaSins has never seen Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
Helicopters do not need to follow roadways.
I'm not sure the movie is saying that. Like,
at all. Actually, the film shows that the landing pad is directly up this path, so what it's actually showing is that it's simply about to land.
Coulson wears sunglasses at night.
I've never understood this weird obsession with calling out people wearing glasses at night or inside a building. Shades are just as much for personal style as they are for blocking out light. I mean, you can still see while wearing shades at night, and it's not like he needs them for this bright scene or anything.
Nick Fury's character development literally begins and ends with iPad.
What does that even mean? Fury is a character that has existed since 1963, and the ultimate version of Nick Fury, who this character is based on, has been a thing since 2001. Not to mention the MCU's version of Nick Fury was in other movies before this one, where his character was more thoroughly explored, notably Iron Man 2. Heck, even if you want to say you don't know much about him, isn't that the point of a spy?
Exciting superhero movie starts with plot and exposition.
The one thing you fail to do in these videos is explain to us why exposition is bad. You have a blanket ban on exposition, but then other times you ask for it, so there must be some criteria in which exposition is required, or at the very least acceptable. Considering you don't make a distinction at all,
possibly racist movie kills 2 Asian extras in a row.
I think it would be more racist to suggest that Asian actors can't be killed simply because they're Asian. What you're doing is pointing out their otherness, and what the movie is doing is treating everyone the same by killing everyone. That's kind of my argument for silly things like suggesting movies like Total Recall are sexist because they dared to kill women in the film. In the scene everyone says this about, there are 5 men killed and 3 women. The implication is that only the men should be killed in that scene, and that's sexist. Same logic applies here.
Meet Google Pixel 6a, the smarter phone that can see in the dark with night sight. Fix your photos with Magic Eraser and photograph all skin tones accurately with Real Tone, all for $449. Google Pixel 6a.
Tesseract powers allow for mind control by tapping the center of the chest.
That's because the movie is suggesting this is a change of heart. It's similar to how people describe love as being in the heart when it's actually in the brain. It's metaphorical is what I'm saying.
Dangerous energy source, space doorway with gamma radiation. Screw it. Transport by hand.
Says this while showing he's actually transporting it with this briefcase. Also, what the heck is this symbol? It doesn't look like any 9 I've ever heard of.
The bulletproof vest fake out.
Yeah, but isn't this the point of the bulletproof vest?
The scene does not contain a lab tent.
That's sexist.
Bruce Banner is hiding out where girls and cheating.
I have no clue why CinemaSins believes this is a sin. If he's asking why can S.H.I.E.L.D. find him, the film implies that they've always kept tabs on him. And the little girl knows it, Bruce, because he's been helping people as a doctor here. So, where is the sin?
S.H.I.E.L.D. answers to 4 people on vertical plasma screens.
Those look like LCDs, but that's besides the point. This is the World Security Council, a joint international body that oversees the internationally operating S.H.I.E.L.D. What, did you think S.H.I.E.L.D. was autonomous? That's like asking why does MI6 answer to Parliament?
Loki's scepter is also a space net.
Well, considering it's one of the immensely powerful soul gems that you just saw reduce Hawkeye to a flying monkey. Yeah, I think trying to reduce it to something as primitive as a space phone is really sinful.
The helicarrier is hella stupid.
Oh, I was waiting for an explanation why this was stupid. Typically when someone says something is stupid, they give a reason. Like when I refer to your series as stupid, I have a bevy of evidence for that claim.
Cloaking device is dumb, but I also don't know why they're hiding.
So you think a clandestine organization being clandestine is dumb? Gotcha.
Cap pays off a bet he never technically accepted.
If they're showing him paying the bet, then this is the confirmation that he did accept it.
We're sweeping every wirelessly accessible camera on the planet.
Considering the context of the bet in the previous sin, I find this painfully ironic. I mean, this is a series that has, up to this point, depicted physically impossible rage monsters that gain mass out of nowhere in literal magic. A futuristic organization being able to access cameras is pedestrian in comparison. Hell, the CIA were doing that in real life. Ever heard of Edward Snowden?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here. Okay, you know how you're on an airplane and the flight attendant asks you to turn your cell phone off? And you're like, I ain't turning my cell phone off. That don't have nothing to do with no damn airplane. Well, this is what we get. That's what happens. It gets up there, bounces around on the satellites, and bam! Just turn your damn cell phone off. Now you're gonna drive off a cliff tonight because your GPS don't work.
Loki makes grand appearance changes that barely change the tune.
CinemaSins thinks this looks barely different than this.
Did he just jump from a plane?
Yes, he did. I know you made this video in 2012, but here in 2014, it's clearly a thing with him as seen in this year's biggest hit, Winter Soldier. Marvel's never going to make anything bigger than this, especially since they don't own Spider-Man.
Late night kidnap, brotherly argument on about.
Another sin pointing out something we can all see on the screen. I really should make a cliche for that.
Superhero pissing contest.
Sitting Iron Man versus Thor versus Cap. That's worth these many sins.
Superhero pissing contest number 2.
Sitting Iron Man versus Thor versus Cap versus Hulk versus Fury versus Black Widow versus the Mind Gem. That's worth these many sins.
Cap and Iron Man almost kissed.
Jeremy has pissed off all the shippers.
Wrapped prisoners are holding up a store and took hostages.
I mean, that's homophobic.
Mighty helicarrier basically neutered by one freaking arrow.
Well, yeah, that's Hawkeye and his trick arrows. I mean, you said that like that arrow didn't cause a massive explosion about a third the size of one of the turbines.
Computer virus delivered by arrow.
I think the real sin here is your incessant questioning about why Hawkeye is one of the Avengers, but you completely ignored these scenes showing his deadly accuracy and these incredible trick arrows. Imagine if they ever adapt Kate Bishop and the shenanigans she and Hawkeye will get up to. Might even make a mini-series out of it where the last episode ends up being trash, but the journey was fun.
For Super Soldier, Captain America is a terrible shot.
Well, yeah, he's not Hawkeye. Besides, he's on a falling out of the air helicarrier shooting an automatic weapon with recoil. Give the old man a break.
Loki tricks Thor with the old Lucy Charlie Brown football right.
Jeremy says this as if that's not surprising every single time. You watch, he'll get the next one. I just got a feeling.
Long, boring fight scene between characters we are already trying not to hate.
Oof, what a take. Natasha and Clint are beloved characters in the actual fandom, and they are far more interesting than you give them credit for. In a world where superpowered people, aliens, and technosuits abound, these two keep up with only their training and the physical attributes of a human. Isn't that why you morons like Batman?
Fury gives intimidating death stare to a computer screen.
Intimidating death stare? That's racist.
Dying person can't finish their last profound statement 4-time cliche.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is death inconvenient for you?
Bad news negates the need for medical care.
Ah, so death is inconvenient for you.
Cap gets AIDS from handling bloody baseball card.
Jeremy implies Coulson had AIDS for literally no reason at all. Besides, you wouldn't get AIDS, you'd get HIV. A virus potentially causes the disease. Does anyone know anything about viruses?
Basically, indestructible heroes still need Little League pep talk to get up for the big challenge.
None of the Avengers are indestructible. Okay, Hulk might be, but he's not even here listening to this.
Thor has trouble picking up his hammer, but it's never explained.
No, that's absolutely not what this scene is, and you are just making things up at this point. This scene is meant to show Thor being reflective of his brash actions that allowed Loki to escape and his near-death experience a few moments ago. What he's doing is gathering himself, wondering if he is still worthy.
Every gadget in this movie has to glow with a blue light.
Jeremy is a blood.
Loki patiently waits for Iron Man to remove the damaged suit, grab a drink, banter a bit, and then put on a new suit instead of just killing it.
It's called arrogance, something you display every time you think you can point out the flaws in a movie.
Too bad Loki's mind control powers only work if the scepter touches the exact center of a person's chest.
Loki could theoretically touch any part of someone's body to mind control them. He, like professional shooters, aim for center mass because it's an easier target to hit. The problem was that Loki was unaware of Stark's arc reactor protecting his heart.
Generic bad guy soldiers whose abilities and shortcomings are never explained.
It's almost like movies show you things rather than tell you them most of the time. What I find ironic here, though, is that earlier you lamented the film's plotting exposition. Why wouldn't the film explaining these aliens' abilities be plotting exposition, and what excuse would you give for not sitting this one like the one you did earlier?
Why they even tried to stop an army that would never want to see kill or injure a human being?
So what you're saying is, these guys weren't killed or injured? Damn, they should be on the Avengers.
Captain America's really more of a super gymnast than a superhero.
I love when Batman fanboys make arguments against Batman and don't realize it. Besides... You were saying?
I need men in those buildings, leading people down and away from their streets. We're gonna set up a perimeter all the way down to 39th Street.
Black Widow knows exactly how to handle and fire an alien weapon seconds after picking it up.
And you would think you'd start showing her some goddamn respect after she and Hawkeye demonstrates badassery, but you're you.
Production Design 101. Don't imitate anything from Transformers.
I'm going to need someone to explain to me how this looks like the damn Transformers. It's a giant worm with armor, and he's comparing it to sentient robots. Help.
Hulk can suddenly control his powers because the story demands.
Except it isn't suddenly, because they showed Hulk has the ability to control his transformation at the end of The Incredible Hulk. It's almost like when Marvel recasts a character, people's brains lose their ability to function. Hope no one dies before the MCU is over. Could be a royal show.
Loki he gets caught in monologue.
CinemaSins, this scene. That's worth these many sins.
Nick Fury fires a missile at an American to stop him from firing a missile at America.
This logic contradicts your previous logic in this sin.
The Council would rather definitely kill everyone in New York with a nuclear weapon than maybe have some die in an alien invasion. There's no gravity in space, but Iron Man falls back to Earth anyway.
There is no gravity in space? Oh, we are going to have fun with this one in the future. Just answer me this one question. If there's no gravity in space, where do you think gravity exists? On Earth? You know Earth is in space, right? Right?
Credit scene to tease the next movie turns out to be homework assignment.
This man doesn't know who Thanos is. How are you even qualified to make these videos? Well, the bright side is there's no way you can keep getting away with making these too much longer. People on YouTube are very intelligent and they pick up on BS fairly quickly. I have faith in internet discourse is what I'm saying.
Marvel's officially full of themselves, subjects audience to 30-second logo.
Marvel's Flipbook logo is one of the greatest of all-time logos. This would be a legit sin if you were referring to Doctor Strange's opening logo.
In order for you to know why the Avengers are here, you needed to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I have neither the time nor the patience to sit through so I can understand the movie.
You absolutely do not need to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to understand this scene. They clearly explain what it is they're trying to accomplish, like multiple times.
Also, the movie makes me do research so that I can figure out Agent Coulson is behind this Avengers op, which is confusing because he died in the last Avengers movie.
Or did he? This is very misleading. Coulson only exists in the TV universe currently, same as Daredevil or Jessica Jones. They haven't referenced him in the film since he died in the Avengers, and Kevin Feige has been adamant that for all intents and purposes, Coulson is dead in the film series. Until Captain Marvel, of course.
Here's Thor doing what he does best, punching and kicking dudes.
Here's Jeremy doing what he does best, pointing things out on screen and treating them as if they're sins.
The Polaroid shot of all the Avengers in one frame is absolutely ruined by the complete and total pointlessness of this opening battle.
First of all, this scene isn't pointless. It sets up the Maximoff twins, because otherwise you'd be crying about how they don't establish these characters. And if you think that this scene was set up by Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then you know why they were here and what they're trying to accomplish. So, Jeremy feigns ignorance cliche.
Language! Swear police.
This coming from the motherfucker that fucking censors his swear words on damn YouTube. I mean, who the f does this stupid shit?
No one else is going to deal with the fact that Cap just said language.
Just goes to show how horrible Hagrid is, or how good the heroes are, that they can endlessly crack jokes during these battles.
I would say it's more to do with how the MCU was portrayed as a comedic series at this point. I mean, people were getting their asses handed to them in Infinity War, but they were still cracking jokes.
Concentrate, fire on the weak ones.
This is precisely why the Avengers shouldn't have any weak ones, a.k.a. Black Widow and Hawkeye.
You, like Von Strucker here, are making the mistake of thinking Black Widow and Hawkeye are weak in any capacity. You don't need superpowers to be strong. Just ask Batman fanboys.
I agree.
We have an enhanced field.
And then that's all we ever see of Quicksilver during the entire battle.
Well, that's bullshit, considering you skipped his scene with Hawkeye right before this.
Indeed, yay. Man, all you have to do is randomly push some part of the wall and it opens.
Except it wasn't random. If you'd shown this scene to your audience, they would understand that you're flat out lying to them.
Hey, Jay, they get our scanner room real quick. I'm reading Steel Reinforcement. How did that go?
Hey, big guy. This movie suggests that between the last film and this one, Black Widow figured out some magical interpersonal hand-wiping connection with the Hulk she can exploit to get Hulk back to Banner status, which is bullshit.
In a universe with sentient robots talking raccoon games that have enhanced individuals, why is it so hard to believe that the Avengers could develop post-hypnotic therapy for their most destructive personality?
Also, a girl who has been experimented on and held captive decides to defend those who experimented on her and held her captive.
Again, you're being very misleading here. They're not protecting Von Strucker, and in fact, volunteered for these experiments. Before Tony became Iron Man, Wanda and Pietro were victims of Stark's military weapons. This made them hate Tony, and by extension, the Avengers.
Does anyone else find it unnerving that these two played husband and wife the last time we saw them? Now they're twins? Kinda creepy, right?
Only if you're 13 years old, I guess. Also, here's a list of actors who've played siblings and lovers. Rose McGowan and David Arquette, Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig, Toni Collette and Steve Carell, Paul Rudd and Elizabeth Banks, multiple times, Will Arnett and Amy Poehler.
Well, damn, Beats is even showing up in the Maria Callas music videos.
Damn, Jeremy and the movie makes a pop culture reference. But since I don't send movies...
You've been after this thing since S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsed.
But why? Wasn't Loki's scepter on top of the Stark Tower at the end of the last movie? Did none of you go and get it? I don't watch your damn TV show, so why can't you at least explain how the f***ing scepter got into the wrong hands again for us